Welcome, weary traveler. The Mistwalker here. Today, on Awi's Scales, we're going to discuss the set Tales of Aria, which releases to retailers on September the 24th. I'm going to break this down into sections. I'm going to do a section for each hero, a section for the elemental cards, a section for each of the elements: ice, earth, and lightning, and then a section for the class specific cards and generics. There's a lot to take care of if I don't do it that way. So tonight we're going to start with the Elemental Guardian hero. And there's a lot to like about Oldhim. He can use Earth, Ice, and Elemental cards as well as Guardian cards. His ability is a once per turn defensive reaction. First of those that's ever been printed on a hero. Pay 3. If you pitched an Earth card in this way, prevent 2 damage. If you pitched an Ice card, the attacking hero must put a card from his or her hand on top of their deck. And of course, if it's both, you get both abilities. Now, both these abilities have merit. The Earth ability to be able to prevent 2 damage is okay. Obviously, blocking with a card is also most of the time 2 damage. But the difference here is if you pitch a card to prevent 2 damage, that card's coming back around and keeps your deck full, so that you have a late game and the other opponent does not. The Ice half is very punishing for go wide decks, right? You know, they swing out, they swing their first attack. And if they're not swinging with their weapon, or even if they are swinging with their weapon, and you get to do this, you're basically making them redraw a card they've seen already. And you're also cutting down on their ability to play additional cards that turn. So, for example, you're playing against a Dash deck. Dash plays an attack, boosts it, and then passes to you. You have the option to defend. Okay. They're usually not going to play an attack reaction. You play a defense reaction. So you force them to put a card from their hand on top of their deck. Let's say you had to pitch a card to play that. That means you're only down to 1 card left in hand. And if you don't have enough resources to pay for that card, well, you're just stuck with it. Now, if you can pitch that card and use your weapon or whatever, so you may have a use for it, but it's definitely going to render your ability to go wide as far as you wish to be a lot less effective. There's a lot of strategies you can do defensively with Oldhim. You can play all Earth, you can play all Ice, you can play a mixture. But whichever way you do it, it's going to be difficult to exhaust an Oldhim deck. Be prepared for that. games are going to go long. It looks like that this set, for the most part, was designed to slow the meta down, and this is one of the big reasons why. Of course, we also have his young version. Alright, let's talk about one of his weapons. So this is the Majestic Winter's Whale. It's a base 4 attack. You have to pay 3. That's Guardian Stick. You got to pay 3. So you're pitching a blue. If an ice card was pitched this way, Winter's Whale gains, if this hits a hero, create a Frostbite token under their control. Well, the Frostbite tokens are what's going to really slow down the game with this set. A Frostbite token enters play on for an opponent, and cards that they play and activated abilities that they use cost an additional resource while this card's in play. The Frostbite token destroys itself when the owner plays a card. Therefore breaking out of Frostbite, or when their turn ends. So this is, and it does something to hurt both tall decks as well as wide decks, because the tall decks want to put all this effort into playing one attack, some of which are pump effects to pump it up, some of which are just the high cost, like another Guardian deck. So it's going to be very intriguing to see how these Frostbite tokens, the ice effects, are going to slow down everything. And obviously there is a common or a token weapon as well. We'll get to that a little bit later. One of the Majestics for Oldhim is his specialization card. Now this card is absolutely brutal. Cost 4, only comes in red, attack of 8, defense of 3. It has Ice Fusion, which means when you play this, you may reveal an ice card from your hand to fuse with it. Now, per my understanding of the rulings, when you play this, you have to pay its regular cost first and then any additional costs. Meaning you have to announce the spell or announce this card attack, put it under the chain, pitch cards from your hand to pay its cost, and then if you wish to pay the Ice Fusion cost, you can then and only then reveal an ice card. So therefore, you're going to need a full hand to trigger all this most of the time. Tectonic plating notwithstanding. But it says, if this was fused, whenever defending player adds a defending hero adds a defending card to the chain link, create a Frostbite token under their control. If endless fusion hits a hero until the end of their turn, whenever they activate an ability, create a Frostbite token under their control. So the first section means every card they defend with creates them a Frostbite token. So if they defend with 2 cards from hand, let's say, it's going to give them 2 Frostbite tokens. If they play a defense reaction, they're going to get a Frostbite token. If they defend with a card, they'll get the Frostbite token, and then if they want to play a defense reaction, it's going to cost them an additional 1 to play it. So this is brutal. to try to defend with to defend beyond the secondary ability. And the second ability, or this activating ability, so it could be something as simple as remove 3 counters from Spring Tunic. Well, guess what? That's going to cost you a resource to make a resource. So you're splitting hairs. It's going to cost you a resource to blow up the Snapdragon Scalers that it normally doesn't. It's going to cost you an additional resource to swing with your Kodachis. Well, this card is absolutely brutal, and Go Wide decks are going to hate it. Hate it. Next Majestic is Oak and Old. 3 cost, 7 attack, 3 defense, only comes in red. As typically Majestics only come in 1 color. Has both Earth and Ice fusion. When Oak and Old was fused, gains +2 attack, dominate, and if this hits a hero, they put 2 random cards from their hand on the bottom of their library or deck in any order. So you're getting the best of both worlds. Now again, this is going to take a 4-card hand. You got to have this card. You got to have the card that pitches for 3, and then you either have to have an Earth and an Ice card, or you have to have a card that is both Earth and Ice. So it's going to be another one of these cards that's difficult to set up, very powerful if you can. This kind of also feels like what we've been getting the last couple of sets with Monarch and now Tales of Aria. There's more powerful things that you could do, but there's some consistency issues, right? But those consistency issues mean that while the heroes overall are more powerful, or what they can do is more powerful, it also means they're not nearly as consistent as the original heroes. But if you absolutely get to hit this 9 dominated and they have to discard 2 cards at random, I mean, it's nuts. Alright, next up is Awakening. That's a 2 cost, 3 resources. That pitches for 3. It does not have an attack or defense. Be aware. It is a Elemental Guardian instant. It has Earth Fusion. If you have less life than an opposing hero, create Seismic Surge tokens equal to the difference. If Awakening was fused, instead create twice that many Seismic Surge tokens. Search your deck for a Guardian Attack action card with cost less than or equal to the number of Seismic Surge tokens you control. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. So you're paying 2 and revealing an Earth card to play this as an instant that basically lets you tutor up a card that you're going to play for free thanks to the Seismic Surge tokens. There's a lot of ifs on this card, but tutor effects are typically extremely strong for a reason, and this one definitely is, but it's only when you're behind. Now you can somewhat set this up, intentionally taking some damage when I could probably prevent some of that. and then really set your opponent up for something dumb. But again, this is another card with a very powerful effect. It takes some work to get it to set up properly, but basically means you're going to get a free attack on the next turn. Alright, let's move into the rares and the commons. Biting Gale. The version we're seeing here is the red 2-cost version. It has 4 defense. It is a defense reaction. And it has Ice Fusion. If Biting Gale was fused, the attacking hero discards a card unless they pay 2. Of course, there is a cycle of these. The yellow is a 3 defense, and the blue is a 2 defense. Well, we should have expected Guardian defense reactions. You know, we had them before. They're big on this type of effect. But this does a number of things. So if your opponent is set up pitching a blue to make 3 resources and then using 1 for their first attack, and you up and hit them with this, they're either going to have to burn those 2 resources, or they're going to have to burn a card from their hand. Neither of which they wanted or had planned for, which typically means their turn's going to end sooner than they expected. Now, unlike some of the defense reactions we've seen already in previous sets with Sink Below, which costs 0, Fate Foreseen, which costs 0. This one costs 2, but so it is going to cost the Guardian player something, but this is still a powerful defense reaction to slow down seemingly aggressive decks. Alright, next up we've got another defense reaction. This is Turn Timber. Again, in the 3 colors, and I'll go through it. Again, it costs 2. It goes 6, 4, 5 as defense number. Earth Fusion. And if this card was fused, it gains plus 2 defense. So if you play this, pitch to play the cost, and then revealed an Earth card, your best case scenario is the blue blocks for 6, which is humongous, and the red blocks for 8. Which is going to stop a whole heck of a lot. Now, even if that's not the case, even if you're just blocking for 4, 5, and 6 based on the color here, without getting the bonus, this is still a fine defense reaction against many, many decks. Is it better than Staunch Response? I guess that's the question, right? You've gotten 2 new defense reactions. One is Earth-based, one is Ice-based. The Earth-based overall one can be cheaper and block for a decent amount than the Staunch Response. But Staunch Response also has the ability to go bigger if necessary. So I think there'll be some testing with this card to see how effective it is versus other options for Guardian, for Elemental Guardian especially. Alright, next up we have Entangled. So this is an Earth Fusion attack. If this card was fused, if it hits a hero, the first attack during the next turn gets -2. Cost is 3, red attack is 7, defensive 3, and it goes 6 and 5 in the different colors. Yeah, this is somewhat like Debilitate, specifically for Elemental Guardian. It seems to be a fine option. Here again, this version only works with Oldhim. Debilitate works for both. So, it really depends on how often that you can trigger the fusion ability. And that's going to come down to two things: deck construction and luck, unfortunately. So, pretty cool card nonetheless. Alright, this is the 10-pound gorilla in a room. Glacial Footsteps. It's a 6 cost. It has all 3 colors. It is a common, 3 defense. The red attacks for 10, yellow for 9, blue for 8. It has Ice Fusion. If it was fused, it gains Dominate. Now, to me, the ice side is much more controlling, but an attack like this, if you are in the market for packing your deck with as many blues as possible, Glacial Footsteps is absolute tank. Yes, it costs 6 to do 8 damage. Most of the Guardian cards we already know are expensive. We also know that most of them have a humongous hit effect. But when your blue hits for 8, be afraid. You're going to see this a lot. Not only in Sealed and Draft. I think this is definitely a card you're going to see constructed if you're going the ice route. This is just way too strong not to play. Even if you can't fuse it. If you can't fuse it, they're going to have to block it with quite a bit of cards to absorb all the damage. If you can dominate it, then Jesus. Alright, Mulch. This is a 4 cost. Again, this is a common. Full suite is 8, 7, and 6. 3 defense. Earth Fusion. If it was fused, it gains, if this hit a hero, put a card from their arsenal on the bottom of their deck. Okay, so this is another elemental card that mirrors a card that Bravo already has. Now, all of these are 6 attack or greater. This is a common that actually can potentially deal with a card in Arsenal. Now, obviously, if your opponent stored a defense reaction there, you're going to see it. If they stored anything else, depending on what it is, they're either going to block out to try to stop it, or they're going to absorb what they can and lose it. Now, the good thing is it does go to the bottom of their deck, so it does not means it's going to see it. You're going to see it again potentially. You know, it's not command and conquer, but another way to potentially deal with cards in Arsenal, right? All right, Snow Under. This is another Elemental Guardian attack, 3 cost, 7, 6, and 5 for the colors, 3 defense, Ice Fusion. If it was fused, if it hits a hero, create a Frostbite token under their control. So if you're playing the ice side and want to control, slow down your opponent's game, Snow Under is one of your best tools, right? It's an attack that forces your opponent to either block the whole thing, and even the blue is a 5 attack. I'll shuffle through those, right? You know, meaning they're going to have to block with at least 2 cards, or depending on what their hand is, they may have to, you know, sacrifice a piece of equipment and or 2 in a card, just to slow this down. So there's lots of power going on with this card. This is the type of control card that you're looking at. Alright, Emerging Avalanche. This is 2 cost. It is a Elemental Guardian Aura. 3 defense. Ice Fusion, go again. When it enters the arena, if it was fused, create a Frostbite token under target hero's control. At the beginning of your action phase, destroy Emerging Avalanche, and the next attack action card you play this turn gains +3. And of course that decreases for each color to 2 and 1. So the pump side of this is decent for the next turn, but also being able to slow down your opponent is huge by giving them a Frostbite token, as well as giving you go again, where you can play this and then potentially, you know, pitch the card that you just showed for fusing, attack with your weapon, etc. And then set up it for next turn to get a little bit of a bonus. We've seen these types of cards before. This is one of the cheaper effects of the bunch. But obviously it only works with Elemental Guardians. And the last one from the Elemental Guardian section is Strength of Sequoia. This is an Earth Fusion card with Go Again. It's very similar to the one we just saw. Cost 2, has a 3 defense. It's, again, an aura. When you play it, if it has been fused, you get to create a Seismic Surge token. I'm going to butcher that all video. And at the beginning of your action phase, you get to destroy it, and then your next attack action card you play this turn gains either +3, +2, or +1. So you see the similarities between Emerging Avalanche and Strength of Sequoia. Just depends on which element you've chosen for your side. The Seismic Surge tokens, of course, are created normally from tectonic plating. Most of you are familiar with who've played Guardian previously. So being able to set up your next turn with something like this is pretty cool, because now you can play a bigger attack for cheaper. If I were picking between this card and Emerging Avalanche, I think I would want the control piece more than I would want the aggressive piece, based upon the way this meta looks. But you never know. Alright, so now that we're done with the Elemental Guardian pieces, thank you for stopping by, and we will see you in the next one.